Well, hello, you Scriblords. Today's another Devblog chats, and today it's going to be on the FV-438 Swingfire, which is going to be the brand new, researchable, and finally actually obtainable, really, Tier 5 ATGM vehicle for the British tank destroyers line. So the Swingfire has been kind of anticipated since ATGMs were first introduced back in 1.59, and I was quite disappointed that the British didn't actually get a proper ATGM vehicle before the Swingfire is being finally introduced. But beforehand we had the STR-V81. That's not really an ATGM vehicle. They said that they weren't discriminating, and I don't think they were, but I have a feeling that the Swingfire model just wasn't ready yet, so they had to delay it a couple of patches before they were going to bring it in, but we're finally going to get it. That's all that matters in the end. So, for those of you who are kind of unfamiliar with this vehicle, the Swingfire is not actually the vehicle itself. The vehicle itself is called the FV-438. The Swingfire is actually the missile that it fires. Obviously called the Swingfire, like I just said. And so the Swingfire missile system is kind of interesting because, unlike the direct fire missile systems that we've been seeing so far, like the Raketen Jagdpanzer, the IT-1, and the Sheridan, the Swingfire is much like the STR-V81's missile in the fact that it comes upwards in an arc. It's going to fire basically in a 45... the missile is designed to be slow enough and to be maneuverable enough that it can recover from a 45-degree angle turn. So the idea is that it will fly upwards in a 45-degree angle and then angle downwards in a 45-degree angle and head towards the target. Now, from what I've been seeing from this footage that I'm going to have up on screen here for you guys, it looks like the Swingfire is going to be a second-generation ATGM, even though that it hasn't been explicitly stated. But that seems to be the case here. It's going to be a second-generation ATGM vehicle, and this thing is supposed to be on par with the IT-1. Now, in what regard, I hear many of you asking. Actually, I'm not hearing anything. I'm just going off of what I'm saying. Anyway, in what way is this thing on par with the IT-1? Well, the IT-1 is very, very well known for being a extremely difficult to detect and difficult to destroy ATGM vehicle. Not least of which because its ammo racks don't explode, but mostly because the IT-1 has a very, very low profile on it. And the idea with this vehicle is that you can poke up over ridges, like I mentioned in the IT-1 Unicorn review, and fire the missile with relatively good protection. You've got 200 millimeters of frontal turret armor, and it's really, really well rounded and sloped. So you're not likely to get killed in a hold-down position with your missile sticking up over the embankment. The Swingfire takes this to a whole new level. Instead of exposing itself completely, all it does is sit below the ridge with its little periscope of a gun sight or of a missile sighting system sticking up over the vehicle. And you can clearly see that in some of the screenshots I have up here. And the idea is that when you fire the missile, it comes up over the obstacle, angles downward in a 45-degree angle, and then from that point on, you are in control of the missile. What this allows you to do is essentially fire from behind cover with impunity. And it means that despite the fact that this vehicle has no armor, which I will get to in a few minutes, that this vehicle is going to be nigh on impossible to kill when it's firing at you. Because the only thing you're pretty much going to be able to see is that little periscope sticking up over the ridge, and that's all he needs to use to guide the missile onto the target. Now, I can already hear many of you saying, well, that thing's going to be completely overpowered. Well, I don't think so. The fact that this vehicle is going to be so lightly armored that it's barely going to be able to stop rifle bullets, I feel that's a pretty large balancing feature. And on top of that, it's going to require a person to have a great deal of knowledge of where they need to position themselves to be the most effective. Not to mention the fact that firing a missile from up and over the ridge is going to create a large signature in terms of blast of the missile leaving the vehicle. So, your best bet really in terms of fighting this vehicle is to avoid fighting it at all costs. Put yourself in positions where you can have hard cover between yourself and that vehicle, and simply maneuver against it. Now, obviously, you have to deal with its allies, such as the Chieftain, which will undoubtedly be holding defensive positions. But I think this really this really helps support the British playstyle of sitting back and defending strategic positions on the map, at least at Tier 5, whereas vehicles like the Leopard and the M60 are meant to be doing the heavy lifting up front. So I feel that this is a great addition. Now, I haven't mentioned the penetration values yet, but it is going to be the exact same as the IT1, 500 millimeters of penetration, which is still more than enough to kill anything in the game with impunity. And the fact that this vehicle gets 2 of them means that it's essentially kind of like a Raketen Jagdpanzer on steroids, but it features second-generation ATGMs rather than first-generation ATGMs. So, I mean, I think a lot of people complain a little bit too much about the IT1. I feel that there's plenty of ways to counter it. The issue is that it's just a strong vehicle. Now, it's so strong that they've moved it up to 8.3 battle rating. Do I think the Swingfire will be moved up to 8.3 battle rating? Probably not. We're most likely going to see this vehicle put it just regular 8.0. Now, I'm not sure if this means with the vehicle like the IT1 being moved to 8.3 battle rating that they're trying to create a whole nother tier, which would be interesting. In tiers as in finally breaking into that 9.0 bracket. I know the IT1 is the very first tank to ever be put above 8.0 battle rating, and I think that says a lot about the vehicle, considering what it's capable of. Now, if they only made the IT1's ammo racks actually detonatable, I'm pretty sure that's not a word, but you get what I'm saying. If you could destroy the ammo racks on the IT1 and it would actually explode, I feel that the IT1 would be a much more balanced vehicle. Now, we'll have to see about the Swingfire. It says that the Swingfire's ammunition racks can explode, well, sort of indirectly. It basically says here, let me find it real quick, and I quote, "Light armor and a vehicle packed with 14 high-caliber explosive missiles do not go well together when used in the first line." First line meaning frontline combat. So, by the way, end quote. So, I'm not sure if they're explicitly stating here that the Swingfire's missiles are going to be prone to detonation. However, if this vehicle's missiles can explode, and that's all it has, I know the Raketen Jagdpanzer can be ammo-racked as well. Why is the IT1 not ammo-rackable? I don't understand that. Maybe somebody can tell me down in the comment section why that's not the case. Maybe there's some sort of arming feature that keeps the explosives in the missile inert when it's not actually armed on the launcher. Maybe not, I'm not sure. But in any case, if you get outflanked in this vehicle or enemies even find you, you're basically done for. There's barely enough armor on the vehicle to stop rifle caliber bullets, let alone high caliber machine guns. 50 cals, such as 12.7 millimeter Dishkas, and the 14.5 millimeter KPVTs are just going to destroy you utterly. Now, this vehicle's chassis is already in the game on the Falcon. The Falcon just has the anti-aircraft turret installed on the turret ring. So, it'll be interesting to see how this vehicle's mobility compares to the Falcon. And the Falcon is not slow by any stretch of the imagination. It's actually quite quick as far as some of these anti-aircraft vehicles go. So, it'll be, again, like I said, it'll be interesting to see how the Swingfire's mobility influences its playstyle. So before I go here, I'm going to quickly situate or give my best guess on where this thing is going to be put in the tech tree. I think it's pretty simple. They're probably going to drop this sucker right after the Conway. So if you haven't researched the Conway yet and you really want the Swingfire, you better get grinding, because the Conway in and of itself is an excellent tank destroyer. And the Swingfire is going to be completely different playstyle, I feel, to the Conway, but I feel that it's going to be a good playstyle in just a different light. In any case, thank you guys for listening. This has been many miles away. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you guys are interested in more devblog chats, such as the M163 Vulcan, which has been announced, then I will leave a link in the description below, and I will leave an annotation up on screen. And for those of you guys watching on mobile devices, make sure and click that little I button in the top right-hand corner of your screen and check out the previous video on the M163 VADs. With that, and I will see you guys in the next video.